words being used. I've just gone to the dictionary to look for the meaning of credible.
Please
and,
go on.
And credible means
Yes.
able to be believed, convincing, acceptable, trustworthy, reliable, dependable, sure, good, valid. It also means believable, plausible, sound, compelling, persuasive, reasonable. Now, these are words.
My dear, you see, before I was able to make at least what seemed to be an informed statement on this myself, I understand the meaning.
I know, but
now, listen.
but why I brought about
Yes.
this definition of the word is that maybe he's saying that yes, we did not get it totally right, but the results were convincing. The results were believable to an extent. You know, that is what he's trying to say. You know,
If you tell
reasonable.
Me, if you good, see, you know, one of the greatest meaning of credibility is maybe to be believed, plausibility. Good. Not exactly the way it should be, but at least looked upon and accepted.
Yeah.
Thank you. And that's why I said, I understand that meaning too well. That's why I said that people filed out on that day.
Yeah.
Cast their votes. And the winners emerged.
Interesting.
Whether their votes counted or not, I have to stress that. Whether their votes counted for the leaders or the winners to emerge is not for me to come and start talking, because when you have a situation that was done all around with irregularities, I cannot confer absolute credibility on it. But at least the exercise held. Can't we believe that? If no other thing, I know one thing on the days elections held, that elections may not have gone the right way.
Yeah.
But at least elections held. If I say elections did not hold, then that's where I'm lying.
All right.
So elections held. But the elections results, were they credible? It will be, foolishness on the part of Emmanuel Duque to say, yes, they were. But elections held and winners emerged.
All right. So you're stuck with your position on that. You're stuck with your position on that. Let's move on now. Let's move on to something that happened during the week. First, was it on Thursday?
Canada, let me explain further so that listeners will also understand. You see, I don't know how it would be safe for me, basing it on the meaning of credibility, to say that people were in maybe their polling units and all that, casting votes. Some individuals busting with guns and all that, and you tell me to confer credibility
those were
on such system.
those were the glitches, you know, and that's where imperfection comes into play.
Thank you. If there were, let's say there were few around the country, few cases.
Yeah.
Now, can you have a fish that the head is rotten, and you tell me that fish is credible in terms of the body? No. But the fact is that if you remove that rotten part of it, if you don't have money to buy another one, you still may do with the side that are still good. And so that's the possibility there, the credibility. Like I have said, elections held and the winners emerged.
Interesting. Okay, now. Now let's move on now. Like I said, there was something that happened during the week, or in the course of the week, and it was a source of conversation on various media platforms, and it was on the Premium Times, and I even talked about it on my night show, where senators came out and were debating over a possible would I say revolution by Nigerians because of the bad governance that characterized the nation. They talked about insecurity, they talked about low employment or no employment, as a matter of fact. They talked about some of the problems you already know that currently bedevils the country. And why I am bringing it back into discussion is that in a tweet yesterday, Senator Dino Melaye came out and said, I am afraid of the revenge of the poor. It happened in Russia, France, and recently in Sudan. It can happen in Nigeria. Housing segregation put us, the elite, in jeopardy. Ikoyi, Banana, Maitama, Asokoro, etc. Our leaders plus me beware of violent revolution. Perilous times loading. Then he ended it with SDM, that is Senator Dino Milai. Now, I was also looking at something during the week on Thursday when Okorocha was doing setting. He conveyed the people, and he was showing them on what they call a projector all of the things that he has done, all of the projects he had achieved. In the span of 8 years. Schools, roads. What else did he do? A couple of projects. And I came on the show and I asked people, and I say, are those the projects that we really need in Nigeria? I mean, instead of our leaders building us refineries, building us factories, they have decided to build us roads that, when maybe the next government would come, would abandon and not even maintain, because then again, there is a maintenance culture that seems to be lacking in Nigeria. My point, it looks as if that Nigerians are coming to the realization that when these people come, maybe during the election year, they make promises, they make manifestos that sound so good to the ears, but when it comes to governance, it seems as if there's a disparity. There is a large gap between the people and the government. Now, Mr. Emmanuel Ndukai, do you ever get to see a time where maybe, not really, I'm not for violence, so I don't preach violence, but do you ever get to a time where things like like what happened in Sudan, like what is happening in France, like what is happening or what happened in what country is that?
Sudan,
is it Algeria? Is it Algeria? Yeah. So now, do you ever get to see Nigerians coming to that point where together there is a voice and we're saying no to bad leadership, no to corruption, no to unemployment, no to all of the problems and challenges bedeviling our country, Nigeria?
Well, I think I will say yes and no. Yes, because we are already in such situation. Perhaps Melaye is thinking that he's still going to build up and come, but already is with us here. The reason I'm saying is with us here is because when you see people already, call groups coming up everywhere, attacking people, killing their fellow humans without having feelings. Then, if that kind of problem, that kind of proposal, that kind of proposal, yes, I call it proposal deliberately, that people are making, this might happen because of bad governance and all the rest of them, is already in existence. It's already happening. But they are thinking perhaps when it takes the style of Algeria, the style in France and all the rest of them, before they think it has come.
Interesting.
Every nation has its peculiarities. And that is why I say no. No, because Nigeria's elasticity, or perhaps elastic resilience, seem to be inexhaustible. Now, after the Civil War, I tell you, at that time, nobody has tested that inexhaustible resilience.
All right.
At that time, people were still thinking that, yes, if you are pushed this way, you can resist openly. And they never knew that, well, even if you resist and the authorities see you as renegades, they will come after you and then extinguish your light of resilience. And then it will end. So if you watch Nigeria, the way Nigeria operates after the Civil War, it seems as nobody is ready in any guise at all for revolution. If you see what is going on, you talk about it. Have you watched a snail moving?
Yeah.
And as soon as anything touches it, it quietly enters its shell. That's what Nigeria is operating as a mode. Now, I doubt if what people are thinking will happen in the fashion it happened elsewhere.
All right.
But for us to show that things have got out of hand, that is exactly we are seeing this insecurity very rife everywhere in this country.
All right.
So for me, I think, yes, it is too late that the senators are realizing this. I am one person who have said very authoritatively that, there are many political parties in existence in Nigeria. They also exist, of course, it is through that platform that you have lawmakers emerged and, of course, are in the two chambers representing people of Nigeria. However, there is perhaps an unnamed political party that is a uniting force for the legislators, and that is once their money is intact.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
and power, of course.
Yeah, you see, PDP, forget about power first. It's what comes to them, money. Now, you see, the PDP and APC, they are like a cat and dogs. But they are brothers and sisters once you come to say, remove 1 naira from their pay packet.
Interesting.
As soon as you mention it, PDP and APC will collapse into one political party. Perhaps they'll give you the name later. I am telling you, that is the way it is. Because they've been getting their millions all along, they've not thought of this poverty that is becoming endemic in this country. What could it result into tomorrow?
So if I understand you very well, you're saying that the conventional way of gathering and revolting, like we've seen in France, like we've seen in the UK, like we've seen in Algeria, Sudan, Egypt in the 2011 Arab Spring, you're saying we will not get to that point, but rather it is the evidence that we're seeing right about now, the banditry, the cultism, and all of it.
That is the way I feel. But I am not saying it with authority of something that comes from heaven. I'm just a human. Now, because even angels may not say something except the one they are directly sent by God to pronounce with authority. Absolute authority, I mean. Now, what I feel is that with the way Nigerians do things today, that you see certain things that are completely against them, those who are very bold will come out and talk about it, and there it ends. Because perhaps authorities are not seeing it the same way people are seeing it. And so it ends there. Unlike where people will come out and assert their right and have their way. Nigerians, the way I see, I stand to be corrected, it may build up to exploding the way it happens elsewhere. But for now, the way I've followed things in this country, Nigeria, especially after the Civil War, what led to the Civil War, and at the end of the Civil War, and what had followed after that,
the Civil War,
yes, I believe people will be seeing various manifestations of hopelessness, agony, poverty, hunger in the form they are coming up. It may be growing up in this way, where you see that some people are even accusing the security operatives who are supposed to quell these
various issues,
good as they are happening. Then, I really don't know. And I am one person who have observed in this country that the resilience of Nigerians in terms of elasticity is inexhaustible.
Is it the reason why we're where we are? I mean, we're so resilient. Like, when we are pushed to the wall, we always find a way of coming out.
I have given you an example of a snail. Touch a snail or perhaps a millipede. It recoils and stay there. You look at it, this one is not ready for trouble. You go your way. That's what Nigerians are doing. Not that they love what they are doing, but because of the indifference of authorities over the years.
But now, something is curious. I'm curious about something right about now, because now the senators are coming out to say, they're coming out to talk. They're coming out to identify the problems that are bedeviling the country. That is to say, they know the problems, but maybe, just maybe, they are beginning to understand that these problems will blow out of proportion. Do you think for any reason, I don't know, maybe for fear of their lives, maybe for fear of the country, going into a violent state, that they might begin to put things in order? And I don't know, maybe, do you think it's possible?
You see, what you're asking is very correct. But I have told you that, yes, they pursue their interest. You see, some of them may not return. And with the deteriorating insecurity or security situation, they are coming back. they don't have their individual towns.
Okay, so they're coming back to being a ordinary citizen.
I tell you.
Interesting.
And then, when you come out, this house is a gleaming one, and you have not eaten 1 naira. This one drives this car today, it drives another tomorrow, continuously. You can't even afford 100 naira to join maybe a cab. Will you be so happy?
No.
especially at that particular neighbor that seemed to have everything. And they are not thoughtful. Man, we have to talk about this because we are going to join them.
All right. So
so
it's not for the interest of the people. It is
always, I have never seen anything they are talking about to be on. I'm telling you, in the interest of the nation. But one thing is that once that is tackled, because I believe in better late than never. I have told you they should have started this long ago.
Yeah.
But now they finally come out. If they were going to tackle it headlong, but I tell you, Canada, how many days remain for them?
They have up until June 12th, so they have about 1 month thereabout.
Thank you. If they don't have that enough time, if you think that time is enough, considering exactly
No,
how
they have 1 month. They can pass the bill. You know, it can by the end of the week it can go into third reading, like we saw the what do you call it, lifetime pension thing doing Bayelsa State and Kogi State. I mean,
Well,
and Kano State.
if you think that time is enough, for me it's not. But if Nigeria say it is, let it be.
But
Now,
really,
if they take it and take concrete steps and make it become a bill that, of course, is subject to the assent of the supreme leader, as it were.
Yeah.
Will he give his assent? Will he see it in the same light with them? You see the precarious nature of the whole thing.
Yeah.
They may do their bit, but I think it's always good also for one to do one's bit and then leave the rest of the bit to whichever authority that can solve.
Yeah.
So if the executive or for the president does not give his assent, they would have been noted as having done that. Let them pursue it and come up with concrete step, making it a bill. If that happens, I think it's going to benefit Nigeria.
Like you
but
said,
I really don't know how in reality
yeah,
they can stop what is building up now.
Like you said, better late than never. Like you said.
Yes, I agree.
And so, if you're just joining us, we're looking at a tweet by Senator Dino Melaye, and it reads, "I am afraid of the revenge of the poor. It happened in Russia, France, and recently in Sudan. It can happen in Nigeria. Housing segregation put us, the elite, in jeopardy. Ikoyi, Banana, Maitama, Asokoro, etc. Our leaders plus me beware of violent revolution. Perilous times loading SDM." Standing for Senator Dino Melaye.
I remember that the poor is not happy that he is. Some are not the architect of their poverty.
True.
And so is government doing everything they can to make sure at least employment or the economy is better because they can't employ everybody.
But that is why I made reference to Okorocha's, I use Okorocha as a point of reference because, it seems as if every state you go to, a governor, especially now that this tenure is winding down, everybody's, hey, this is what I did. This is what I did. I built you roads. I built you this. I built you that. But my question is, are those the things? Are those the urgent necessities that we currently need? That the people currently need right about now?
What is the per capita income? That's in Imo State.
Interesting.
Is it buildings and all? See, development is all about human.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right, the phone lines are open. First of all, we talked about what did we talk about again? We talked about the 2019 elections. Someone coming out to say it wasn't perfect, but it was credible. What is your say on that? And we're also talking about the revenge of the poor. Do you ever think the poor would ever get to that point where they would want to revenge all the bad leadership that has been given to them ever since independence in 1960? Do you ever think they will get to that point? Or do you think, like Mr. Emmanuel Indukwe has said, the resilience of Nigerians would keep us going until maybe one day the world will end? I don't know. The numbers to call in are 0817 000 0951 or 0810 951 0951. Your text messages or WhatsApp messages to the number 0701 933 9962. It is 12 about 22 minutes left on the clock. So you want to call me right about now and let's have that conversation. 951.
Yeah, good morning, Ogima and Kalara.
Yeah, good morning to you. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, it is
All right, London man, welcome.
Yes, I want to react on the statement made by Dino Ninaya about the revenge of the poor. My brother, as a matter of fact, I want to say clearly that, categorically rather, that the poor has already started revenging.
Oh, like Mr. Mao said.
Yes, it depends on the angle which they are taking, or on the step which they are taking. But for me, going with what is happening in the society today, the increase in kidnapping, armed robbery, stealing of women, whatever, and what have you, all those compounded together. You see that the poor, who are those that indulge in all those things? They are the poor. If we are better off, for instance, will you go and start doing all these things we hear people doing on air? Hello?
Hello?
How would you?
If I'm better off, if I'm economically okay, if I'm economically better off, I wouldn't know what will make me to go and start kidnapping, killing, or what have you, to meet up and what have you.
So what are you saying? So what are you saying? So if you're financially okay and you don't have security to drive that fine car, that Mercedes Benz that you bought, how okay are you?
So that is the point I'm making. And why those things are happening is because people are not happy. The only way they make it, they can meet up. I think now that kidnapping has become a lucrative job, people are engaging into kidnapping and what have you, stealing and what have you, all those things. The government should sit up and start doing something now before it will be worse than what we are seeing. That is the point I'm making. Like Odima rightly said here, invest in human capital development. Invest in all these youth. Invest in them. Let them become something better in the society, so that all these things we are experiencing, we are undergoing, will stop. Because Naya has cited the example of a particular country or what have you. As a matter of fact, if the thing starts fully here, it will be unbearable. So our government should sit now before it will get late.
All right, thank you very much for calling in, Ambassador London, man. Then 5 for 1.
Hello, Promo, good morning.
Good morning to you. Your name and where you calling
DK.
from? DK, welcome.
Yeah. Chief Ndukwe, my man, good morning.
Good morning, my brother.
Let me start with the credibility of the just concluded election.
All right.
It is debatable.
Yeah.
For those who won or who were declared winners and their supporters, it is credible.
Yes.
For the losers and their supporters, it is not credible.
All right.
Then let's go to.
But before we leave, I'd like to state that Suleiman, who made this statement, is a member of the PDP and lost in Kwara State.
Are you sure he's not on his way to APC?
Oh my God! He lost in Kwara State, so I don't know about. He said if you look at the interview, if you look at the interview, he said he was a staunch member of the PDP. He's not leaving the party. He was actually even calling the party members in the state to come and regroup and be focused on how to retake governance in the state.
I heard it. I heard everything that you said.
Right.
There are two things there.
All right.
Likely he would come to APC, or maybe he's looking for political appointment in the ruling party.
All right.
Nigerians start like that.
All right.
Okay, going to Milaye's issue of impending revolution. Has he sponsored any deal for the affair to be cut down to show sincerity that he is people-centered? You see, just like Chief Ndukwe said, we seem to be immune to revolution for some obvious reasons.
All right.
This country is factionalized on ethnic and religious lines. For you to have a revolution like what was obtainable in France those days, where the king head was beheaded and all of that, you need unity. Even in Russia, you need unity. Look at when the Chief Justice was suspended. Nigerian Bar Association called for a strike or something. It was also not obeyed by the unity of the lawyers in the country.
Interesting.
It was factionalized.
Interesting.
So a situation like that, you can hardly have a revolution of the kind we witnessed in Algeria and in past France and Russia. So I do not really see it coming.
All right.
Then going to Korika's achievement, showing building and all of that, I want to ask, is Ministry of Happiness an achievement?
But just so that you know, the people have to be happy so they don't go into crime and all that sort. And trust me, Imo State is not the only government that has Ministry of Happiness. One other foreign country also has Ministry of Happiness, just to make sure the people are happy.
Then hold on, I want to ask, so how do you go about having happiness?
You just go around and be playing
a ministry.
You can do
by giving people work to do.
The ministry can be holding carnivals. People will come and drink and eat. That government.
A hungry man cannot join in carnival.
A hungry man will go and eat.
He cannot.
But you go and eat. You go and eat and drink.
Fine.
Uh-huh.
The Ministry of Happiness declare an open free restaurant.
No, that is why I said carnivals. Carnivals now is free food. Government will pay for food and drink and bring dancers to entertain you. They'll call Two-Face, call Tenny, and you'll be happy.
And you've forgotten, because of the level of hunger, there will be a stampede.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
That is artificial happiness.
All right. Thank you very much for calling in. All right, very funny one there. I was, once in a while we have to find a way to laugh. All right, good morning to you. Hello. Yeah, good morning to you.
Can you hear me, Chief K?
I can hear you now, loud and clear.
Thank you very much. My name is The Real Gift.
All right.
From the Taproot.
All right, the Real Gift, welcome on the show. Talk to me. What's your take?
Thank you. Good morning to you, Chief Emmanuel.
Good morning, my brother.
Thank you, sir. Chief K, I don't know the exact portion in the Bible. I know there is a portion in it. It's times like this, even the devil will interpret the Bible to suit himself. And I think that is what that politician did. When he tells me that the elections were credible. For goodness sakes, from the definition of what you read earlier, can you conveniently tell yourself that indeed the elections were credible at the end of the day? Unfortunately, this is what we get from politicians anyway, especially the ones in this side of the divide. As far as I'm concerned, the elections were neither credible nor, in fact, let's not go into what we saw on that day. Let me come back to the issue of Dino Melaye, Senator. When did he realize that the poor will revolt someday? I know it's one of those the senators that they will still be going back to the
he's going back to the chamber.
So
Yeah.
what are we talking about here? What is he afraid of? Well, Nigeria is an elitist society, and then the elites have made it possible, just like Chief Emmanuel said, to convert the rest of us to be snails. You remember the Occupy Nigeria protest 2013? You saw a protest where people were, in fact, there was a catering firm that was cooking for protesters to eat. Musicians were on one corner, and then he tells me that those persons are protesting, those are Nigerians protesting. It's difficult, and he knows it's difficult. The case of Sudan is talking about, yes, the people started it. If the military had not intervened, you think Al-Bashir wouldn't still be in power? He would have, as far as I'm concerned.
But then would the military have intervened if the people had not spoken up?
Well, the people, that's why I said the people started it. But assuming the military did not come in, their protests would have continued to be in vain.
My point is there has to be a speaking up first of all before you get the results.
Are we not speaking up?
Well,
what are we doing right now? We're not speaking
Nigeria
up.
is different from that place because there's a speak out now. People are speaking up.
Interesting.
What has changed?
Interesting.
Nothing.
Well, for those of us, we are ready, but unfortunately, I think it will take. It will be difficult. I pray happens in my lifetime also anyway, when I see Nigerians genuinely come out to protest as a result of the situation, the economic situation they find themselves, so as to make the government either push themselves out or rejig themselves. As for us, I believe, just like Emmanuel said, I don't want trouble.
Thank you very much for calling in. Thank you very much for calling in. He does not want trouble. But I don't want trouble as well. So I don't know how we want to do this. But we'll go straight to the text message portal. And this one says, "Good day, Andrew. This is not Andrew. My name is Kalada." And it says, "My name is Chidi in Port Harcourt. Now that the Presidential Election Tribunal is yet to deliver the final judgment on President Buhari's 2019 electoral victory, is May 29 inauguration still visible? Please, I need an answer." Yes, it is visible. I mean, it's going to happen on the 29th of May, and you already had the government say they're going to do a low-key, what do you call it, inauguration and all of that.
But maybe high-key will be on the June 12th.
No, June 12th is celebration of Democracy Day.
But that one will be on high-key. Maybe.
Oh, my God. This one says, "Canada, I follow the position of Ima. Since after the Civil War, nobody wants to protest like Sudan and co. But I believe what Senator Dino Milaya has said will come to pass." Sonny Ozoba. All right there. I, Ogaima, and Bro Canada. I used to be a bad boy before, but since I got a job of 30,000, I am out of it. And I thank God. From Sandy. All right, so that's talking
Have
about.
You heard that?
That's talking about, revolution already. Yeah, you're saying it, or you said it. And this one says the poor are already taking their pound of flesh in the form of revenge for the long suffering and neglect our politicians have put our citizens through. I think they are waking up too late. Singer Bruce. Do you really think they are waking up too late, Mr. Emmanuel?
I said it, but I said also better late than never.
When see, because if you go by what he said, too late, that means too late is irredeemable.
That is for the politician to wake up.
Yeah.
Well, too late. It depends on what one has in mind. It's subjective. I think too late. Yet they can put up a position that could try to minimize that, and that is if there is unity. Remember that I have said it will require a supreme signature.
Now, Mr. Emmanuel,
to make it a law.
Mr. Emmanuel, hold for a bit now. Government, they say, is supposed to be a continuum, but we only see continuum when it comes to sharing of money, when it comes to holding onto power, when it comes to I'm not saying anybody is corrupt, but when it comes to corruption and when it comes to making laws and passing bills that suits their self-interest. I mean, whether it was the first assembly, whether it was the fifth assembly, whether it is the ninth assembly that is coming in, it seems as if politicians have one true nature.
I said they belong to one political party. I can't give the name.
So then,
they may give the
so
name
then
later.
Again, too late. Is it that these politicians will never come to that realization when they put the people first? I'm asking that question for the uptime time.
No, they know what they should do, but their interest is paramount to them. Simple.
All right. This text message says the man who made the election comment said so because his party won. His party lost, actually. Otherwise, you would have heard of unprintable adjectives to describe it. Edu from Port Harcourt. Edu, his party lost. He even lost the elections, as a matter of fact. 95.1.
Hello?
Hi, good morning. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Ugo
Chico, all the way from Rukpaku. Welcome.
Okay. What Dino Milaya said. It is not about revolution. What we need in this country is referendum.
When you say referendum, do you understand the meaning of referendum? Simple question. I need an answer.
Hello?
I said, when you say referendum, do you understand the meaning of a referendum?
No.
Ask the question. Do you understand the meaning of referendum?
That is what I'm telling you now. That even primary one student.
All right, please tell me what's the meaning of referendum. What is the meaning of referendum?
Let us decide whether we are to remain in this country.
And is
or
that
not
a revolution? All right, thank you very much for calling in. I mean, it's simple semantics. 95.1.
Yes. Good morning.
Good morning to you. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Kifema.
Good morning, Kingsley.
Okay, my name is Kingsley Wanwoka. I'm calling from Uniport.
Welcome.
talking about credibility of the 2019 general elections, I am not a fan of the Buhari administration, but I must be honest on this. If I want to judge the election by what happened in the place where I voted, then I would say it was credible. Yes, because in the place where I voted, in my place in Isukwato, in the place where I voted, and in other places where I saw what happened, the process was credible. Yes. I'm talking about
Kingsley. Are you sure you are not APC?
no, I can never be. I
all right.
And then talking about what Dino Milai said, you know, like somebody has said, and like Ifema also has said, the revenge of the poor is already manifesting in the form of, crimes. And I want to say that the government should, the energy that the government puts in fighting crime, part of that energy should be put in the fight against poverty.
Interesting.
The government should fight poverty more, even more than it is fighting crime.
All right. Thank you very much, Kingsley, for calling in. Thank you very much. Now, Mr. Mawel, you just raised the question. Now, instead of putting so much money in fighting crime, like you said earlier, it's not in the building, it's not investing in building and structures, it is actually investing in human capacity. What do you think the government can do? What are some of those projects the government can embark on that will alleviate poverty and curb unemployment in Nigeria?
Any project at all that will throw up the flank for employment. Hold on. You asked me a question.
Okay, sorry. Yeah.
And again, any project that could throw up the training of people to acquire skills that could see them through in life. Remember, government cannot employ everybody.
Yeah.
Now, if you have a skill, no matter how your own establishment, how low it will be, but you will be earning a living through there. Okay. So these are the type of things that government can do. But I tell you, government has allowed the situation get out of control. And so anybody that is suggesting that they should not fight insecurity is now looking for a way for everybody to die at once. They must fight it.
Now, Mr. Imam, sorry. Now, if I go by your statement, then you would understand that when a governor comes and builds 300 schools and 500 hospitals, people are employed to carry blocks and mold cement and all of that. So people are still employed.
The population of the entire state compared with the ones employed. You see, what we are saying, develop up, okay. You see, it's unfortunate that sometimes government established certain things so when they had amnesties to certain people and all that, and then gave them skills. The people, some of them came back and then sold their kids. I tell you, these are the type of thing that people will think well. However, those who sold, did government also try to establish them? Because the kids cannot establish itself.
Yeah.
Because you have a kid, you have a toolbox, for instance. Now, were you given money to start off this and that, and government help, and then those people will be engaging others? That is how it goes.
Right.
But the fact that government allow this thing to reach the level it is, they must also fight to make sure that it comes to normalcy. And so the issue of fighting insecurity must be now handled both sides with creating opportunities for the economy to be better.
All right. So this one says, Kalada, no election in Nigeria is credible. Even the election of Abiola that never materialized. That man will move to APC soon, Sunny. All right. And this one says, good morning, Kalada. I read a book titled Atomic Suicide. It said that world powers manufacturing atomic weapon is planting death all around because wherever they exploded, they are also in danger. Such is the fear of our legislators. This class they have made for themselves will naturally look for balance, which will turn against them. Boniface from Oibo. This one says, remember Fela's song, and no one die. Papa did for house. I get one child. That song long time ago paint a clear picture of our people. When a Nigerian is pushed to the wall, instead of fighting back, he exerts more energy to break the wall and escape.
That's it.
Revolution is not in our lifetime. Uche Inwachiku Potakat. And this one says, just like the Arab Spring, a time shall come that the poor will have nothing to eat other than to feast on the rich. What is lacking is the perfect catalyst. And this one says, if we, the people within our own area, takes up the politicians to task, the equation will certainly change. Ojuku PC Port Harcourt. Final words, Mr. Manuel?
Well, I certainly believe that following the definition, or what I understand as the operational definition of credibility, the elections absolutely, for me, the way I see, based on the complaints here and there, well, was manageable because it held and winners emerged. But to tell me that the credibility we are talking about is the real one because of what happened on that day and leaders or winners emerged through veritable processes, well, I keep my comments to myself.
Phone lines are buzzing, more text messages pouring in, but we have to go. It's time for us to make way for Open Edition. Thank you for being a part of the show. It has been Mr. Emmanuel Indukwe and myself, Kalada, on Inside today. Join us next week as we bring you some more interesting and exciting conversations. For now, stay tuned to Today 95.1 FM.
This is Today 95.1 FM. To copy this tune, press 9.
This is Today 95.1 FM.
For current news and information, press 5.
They are politicians, all of them. They know what they do.
So they know how they attack each other.
And
To stay connected all day, press 1.
The person who raised the alarm is the one who made the public know about
Good afternoon and welcome to the World News on your Premium Talk Radio station.
We are your premium talk radio station. Today 95.1 FM, the station with a unique dial.
Port Harcourt. Bud X Bars is here. 15 bars, 5 weeks with the kings of the turntables. DJ Consequence, DJ Nana, DJ E Cool, and DJ Crowd Controller. Experience epic parties every weekend from the 3rd of May. Follow at Budweiser Nigeria for updates. Be a king.
Open Edition.
Open Edition is a radio conversation on the controversial issues that confront our communities, states, and nation. On the program, we analyze the news and discuss current affairs. We ask the tough questions and we talk to people who know.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ross Alabo George and this is Open
It is
Edition.
a fresh platform to cross-fertilize ideas and share opinions on politics, the economy, and our environment. Most importantly, we don't just see the problems.
We seek solutions.
Because we know that when one door closes, another is open, if only your mind is open. The Dalai Lama says, look at the situation from all angles and you will become more open. Join Mr. Ross Alabo George with co-facilitators Robinson Tombari Sibe and Eugene Abels.
You cannot be on vacation and be issuing statement. It does not work that way.
Did he satisfy the Constitution before he left? Yes, he did.
Every Saturday by 9 a.m. to 10 a.m.
Co-facilitator Robinson Tombari Sibe, Eugene Abels, and the controls will
on
be
Today 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt. The voice of the people.
Say they know they. People judge you like say they know they breathe. People judge you like say they get superpower. People judge you like say they know they weak. Nobody want their soul where you know they reap. Everybody is a hypocrite. ipocrita. Everybody is a hypocrite.
People just they do like saying I them be Jesus. People so wicked but they so religious. Who they calculate, they show the figures. Who they demonstrate where they run, leave us. People to complain but they fear to speak up. You don't want to die but nothing to live for. Christian and corrupt, no supposed be mixture. Real Musulumi, no supposed they teach job. Real talk, no be fight, rara. Everybody get the fault for inside matter. When they talk human rights, we no respect that. Who are we to crucify the homosexuals? Most of una done they involved from time. But no be anybody business who you want climb. You they form gentleman when we deal with you, but you go still go home, beat your wife to soup.
People judge you like say they know. People judge you like say they know they breathe. People judge you like say they got superpower. People judge you like say they know they weak. Nobody want their soul where you know they reap. Everybody is a hypocrite. Everybody is a hypocrite. Everybody is a hypocrite.
That's the way they do like say you know be sinner. See the speck in your eye, know the pointy finger. What about the really greedy politician? Acting like you really care for the layman. And what about even you voters, where they act like say you only see two jokers? Recycle the same corrupt men. Later you complain, you say you hate the government. And the fake prophets, someday for convent. With underage boys where they make boyfriend. And you claim consent when you messing with a minor. Some say a devil box, so no tell it for their parlor. Because you know be virgin, you know meet them well. But the one with tie scarf, you know give them help. Or you say you know they drinking liquor. But your heart today evil, sure you see the picture.
People judge you like say they know. People judge you like say they know they breathe. People judge you like say they got superpower. People judge you like say they know they weak. Nobody want their soul where you know they reap. Everybody is a hypocrite. Everybody is a hypocrite. Everybody is a hypocrite. Of course I know truth is bitter. Bitter get you gone, but bitter leave. What is the essence of debating when we know the truth in our mind? Why you gonna do like say you know the why you gonna do like say you know the love? You know if it be the same. Everybody is a
This is Today 95.1 FM. To copy this tune, press 9.
This is Today 95.1 FM.
For current news and information, press 5.
They are politicians, all of them. They know what they do.
So they know how they attack each other.
To stay connected all day, press 1.
The person who raised the alarm is the one who made the public know about
Well, good afternoon and welcome to the world news on your premium talk radio station.
We are your premium talk radio station. Today 95.1 FM. The station with a unique dial.
Imagine a society where there's respect for rule of law. Imagine a society that is violence-free. Imagine a society where we live together as one. Imagine a society free from all forms of abuse and harassment. Imagine the possibility of an HIV-free generation. It begins with you. This message is powered by your premium talk radio, Today 95.1 FM, Voice of the People.
Today 95.1 FM. Good morning.
My name is Ifeanyi. I'm calling you from. Hello?
Yes, Today 95.1 FM. Good morning.
My name is William. I'm calling from Port Harcourt.
All right, William from Port Harcourt. Go ahead.
Talk radio.
You have a right to say no, right? All right.
I'm calling from Unipua.
Okay, thank you so much from Unipua.
We are the station that needs no introduction. Of course, you know, we give the best in news, sports.
You like football, right?
Entertainment, politics. In fact, call it talk.
Yes, we know there's a lot you want to hear, and that is why we talk about everything.
Talk radio.
We're right before you. It's just a dial away. This is your number one premium talk radio. Today, 95.1 FM. Voice of the people.
One of us must have a last say. Words like dagger, we try to hurt each other. There's no other way until one surrenders. We've been like this for days. We've been like this for days. So when you said goodbye with a smile on your face, I thought it was as usual. You began just for a little while. I didn't see it coming. Wouldn't believe it. Someone told me that I've been waiting for years. Been waiting for years. Even though we knew like we're far away, far from far away. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Let's go back to the beginning. None of us must have a last say. I'm writing you this letter, hoping we can make things clearer. Over all the shouting, we forget to hear each other. And I miss you for days, in so many ways. Even though we knew like we're far away, far from far away. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Let's go back to the beginning. The beginning. You and me. Let's go back to the beginning. The beginning. You and me. The beginning. Oh. The beginning. You and me. You and me. Let's go back to the beginning.
I hated that job, and I clung to that job. 10 years in a place without heat, 6 years at a job I felt stuck in. Maybe I was afraid of change. Are you? When I was 29, I told myself, the next acting job I get, no matter what it pays, I will, from now on, for better or worse, be a working actor. And now I didn't have either the internet or a cell phone or a job. But something good happened. I got a low-paying theater job in a play called Imperfect Love, which led to a film called 13 Moons with the same writer, which led to other roles, which led to other roles. And I've worked as an actor ever since. I didn't know that would happen. At 29, walking away from data processing, I was terrified. But this made me very hungry, literally. I couldn't be lazy. Now, I tell this story because the world might say you are not allowed to yet. Please, don't even bother asking. Don't bother telling the world you are ready. Show it. Do it. Trust me. A rhythm sets in. Just try not to wait until, like me, you're 29 before you find it. And if you are, that's fine too. Some of us never find it. But you will. I promise you. Raise the rest of your life to meet you. Don't search for defining moments because they will never come. The moments that define you have already happened, and they will already happen again. Don't wait until they tell you you are ready. Get in there. I waited a long time out in the world before I gave myself permission to fail. What did Beckett say? Ever tried, ever failed. No matter. Try again. Fail again. Fail better. The world is yours. Treat everyone kindly and light up the night.
You know, my mother had me when she was 16 years old. And I used to sleep on the floor, and I had 8 uncles in that same house, and they did everything under the sun, you know, going in and out of prison. My mother, she worked at Wendy's, and she would get off work at Wendy's, and I would be about the last kid sitting in the park, and I would be waiting on my mother because I didn't want to go home because, you know, every other day or every other week, our front door would get kicked in because my uncles, they sold drugs. So every opportunity I got in solitude to cultivate a vision for my life, I took advantage of it. And one night, my mother came into the park, and I walked off the field, and I said, "Can you please introduce me to my father?" Because I played every sport, and every sport I played, we had to show our birth certificates. And so every time I pulled out my birth certificate, I would always see my mother's name, but I never saw my father's name, and so it bothered me. And so she said, sure. And so my first encounter with my father, I shook his hand. I said, "Hey, man, how you doing?" He said, "Hey, little man." He said, "Man, I heard you could really play sports." I said, "Thanks. I heard you can too." I said, "But here's what I need you to do for me. I need you to pick me up every Friday night, work me out every Saturday morning, and you can take me back home after that. I don't need any money. I don't need any clothes. I just need to make it to the NFL so I can help my mother and my grandmother. Can you do that?" He said, "Yeah, I got you." And so he picked me up one Friday night. The first Saturday morning, he shakes me. It's 4 a.m. in the morning. I wake up, I'm wiping the cold out of my eyes. He said, "Little man, you say you wanted it, right?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Get up. We're running 2 miles to this fire station, 2 miles back home." I said, "Okay, let's do it." And so he walks by me and he busted a U-turn and he looked up at me. He said, "Son," I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "I want you to pull that other person outside of you today." No disrespect. I said, "But I don't see another person." I said, "So I understand we have different lives and you have a job, and so if you're tired, I get it. You can go back in the house and you can go to sleep, but you're not stopping me from running to this fire station. I'm running to this fire station whether you go or not." And he looked at me, and what he said to me, it pierced my heart in such a way. He said, "Son, what I'm trying to get you to understand is no matter how hard you work, there is somebody on the inside of you that works even harder." He said, "No matter how dedicated you are, there is somebody on the inside of you that's more dedicated. No matter how committed you are, there is somebody on the inside of you that's more committed, and you don't even know what commitment is yet. You think commitment is just saying, 'Yes, I'll do it,' but what commitment is staying true to what you said you were going to do long after the mood that you have set it in has left, meaning on the days when you don't feel like doing what you said you would do, you get up and you do it anyway. That's what builds character." And he said, "I need you to understand the concept that there's another person on the inside of you, because one day in your life you will face something that's a lot tougher than you, and your strength and your drive and your commitment and your work ethic won't do it. You have to realize that it's something on the inside of you that's greater than anything that life can throw at you." And immediately I got it. And so when my life changed, not only did my football career end, I got a paralyzed right arm and hand behind me. Life changed overnight. But I was extremely grateful for it because the whole time I understood that you have to tap into in order to get through one of the darkest, toughest, roughest moments of your life. There's another person on the inside.
This was my shot. I cried a lot. It was so embarrassing. I got fired from Frasier, the one everyone knew was going to be a hit, and it was. This time, it was really hard not to think that it wasn't meant to be my career as an actress. A couple of months later, I was almost completely out of money. Then I got a call from a friend, the actor Richard Kind, who said, and this is exactly how he sounds, "I heard what happened. I don't know how you get up in the morning. How do you even get out of bed, get dressed, walk out the door, and show your face?" I was getting up in the morning and leaving my apartment, so maybe I was coping better than I was expected to. That's a good sign. And I understand that because the 20s, they are that time in your life when you're really getting acquainted to self-doubt, when there's so much seemingly at stake. So let me reassure you, it's not supposed to be easy. You're supposed to have moments of uncertainty about which path to take because the 20s are full of crossroads. When one door closes, another door always opens. It really does. That's what I would tell myself, to keep those moments of doubts only moments. And it worked. I kept going. Then it all changed. After many auditions, I was the second person cast in the pilot called Friends Like Us, which would later be changed to Friends. Jim Burrows also directed this pilot and the first 10 episodes of Friends. One day, the six of us were talking with Jimmy, exchanging the time I got fired stories. And Jimmy told them mine. "Well, she's got the worst one of all. She got fired from Frasier." "Well, it's a good thing you got fired or you wouldn't have been on this show." He was right. And it was a good thing I didn't get Saturday Night Live. And that Romy and Michelle, that pilot didn't work out. And every other disappointment that happened. They were actually more like guideposts that kept me on my path. Oh, and after I got fired from Frasier, I went to a birthday party and feeling like I had nothing at all to lose, I flirted with a guy who was way out of my league. We dated, and on Thursday, Michelle and I will have been married for 15 years. And we'll celebrate with our remarkable 12-year-old son. So, thank God I got fired. There is a reason for everything.
I failed for funny things that I failed a key primary school test for 2 times.
Talk radio.
I listen to a lot of talk radio.
95.1 FM. Talk radio.
I listen to a lot of talk radio.
95.1 FM.
And I failed 3 times for the middle schools. You know, for 3 years I tried to fill in the universities. So I applied jobs for 30 times, got rejected. I went for a police, they said, "No, you're not good." I went to even the KFC. When KFC came to China, come to my city, 24 people went for the job. 23 people were accepted. I was the only one guy. And we went for police. 5 people, 4 of them accepted. I was the only guy that I received it. So to me, being turned down, rejected. Oh, by the way, I told you that I applied for Harvard for 10 times, rejected. I know I'll be rejected. I just want to say that.
Yeah, sorry now.
I think we have to get used to it. We're not that good. Even today, we still have a lot of people reject us. I don't think in this world there are a lot of people be rejected more than 30 times. If we, the only thing we never give up, the only thing we're like a Forrest Gump. We keep on fighting. We keep on changing ourselves. We don't complain. Whether you were successful or not successful, I find that people, when they finish the job, if they make a mistake, if they fail, if they always complete the others, this guy will never come back. If the guy only check himself, yeah, something wrong with me here, something wrong with me there, this guy has a hope.
I said yes when I wanted to say no. I don't want to do that. He became physically violent with me. I'd never been in an abusive relationship before, and I don't have I felt as if I didn't have the profile of a woman who would ever be abused, verbally, emotionally, and sure not physically. And I remember when that relationship finally ended, and I was grateful that it ended and I was alive, because there were some days when my life was in danger. I had so much guilt and anger and blame, and more than anything, shame. How did I get here? And the bigger question was, how will I get out? How do I move from this place? I remember sitting in the doctor's office, sitting on the table, and she asked me a myriad of questions. She left the room and came back with a piece of paper in her hand, and she said, Lisa, you are clinically depressed, and I need to give you this prescription. I looked at the piece of paper, and it said, Lisa Nichols Prozac. I didn't see that level of sad coming. I think when sad comes, you don't know it's coming. It's one little circumstance, another missed moment where you don't speak your mind, another moment when you don't say what's on your heart, another moment when you say yes and you really wanted to say no, another moment when you just put everyone else in front of you. And here I was in the doctor's office, clinically depressed. I asked my doctor, could I do something before I fulfilled the prescription? Could I try something else? Because when she said I was really, really sad, what I realized was that I had just forgot who I was. That I had become Jelani's mom, that's all I was. I had become his fiance, that's all I was. And then I was the woman that he abused. And then I was the daughter trying to hide the abuse from my father and my mother. And then I was the motivational speaker trying to hide the fact that I was sad from everyone. I just forgot who I was. And so I asked her, can I have 30 days to just discover me again? And I did 3 things. 1, I put affirmations all around my house, reminding me who I was. You are an unrepeatable miracle. You are beautiful in your own right. You deserve healthy love. You are a child of God. Everywhere I could look in my house was a Post-it note reminding me of who I was. I read scriptures and I read words that showed me my birthright. And then every day I got in the mirror and I completed 3 sentences. I looked in my eyes and I said, Lisa, I'm proud that you, and I found 7 things to celebrate Lisa for. And the second sentence was, Lisa, I forgive you for. And I found 7 different things to cut the shackles of blame, shame, guilt, regret, and anger around. And I said, Lisa, I commit to you that. And I made 7 different commitments to myself every day for 30 days. And when I went back to the doctor, I was completely ready to take the prescription and fill it if I needed to. And I shared with her. She asked me question after question after question again. And then at the end, she goes, I have 2 questions for you, Lisa. I said, what? She said, what have you been doing for the last 30 days? And can I use it with other patients? Because I had found my way back to me. And another moment that I'm super, super grateful for was when my daddy took me on my first date. I was 12 years old. And he took me out to a restaurant on the pier in Marina Del Rey. And he ordered my drink and ordered my food and opened the car door and all the things you would do on a great date that I didn't know anything about at 12. And at the end of the evening, I went to walk in the house and my father was holding the door open for me. And he closed the door so I could not get in. And I stopped and I was like, Daddy, what's wrong? And he said, I want you to know something, Lisa. Tonight I took you on your first date so you get to see how you get to be treated. I wanted you to see how you get to be treated. Now, sweetheart, how you choose to be treated, that's gonna be on you. The big moments in your life are made up by the little decisions you make. I didn't make a big decision to get in an abusive relationship. I made a little decision to lower my integrity bar. I I made another little decision to stay when I saw the first sign that he didn't honor me the way I deserved to be honored. I made a little decision when I crossed over, moved past that moment of discomfort and allowed his words to make up for his behavior. It was my job to fall madly in love with me first, that no one was going to show me how to love me, that I have to show not only me how to love me, but I have to show other people how to love me, that you are the first example of what loving you looks like, and the way you love you is the way the world's gonna love you. So when you say, I don't need rest, then we believe you. When you say, no, don't worry about me, I'm fine, we believe you. When you say, no, I don't need help, we believe you. When you say, I'm fine by myself, we believe you. So here's what I realized: words are power. Words speak life. Your life is a physical manifestation of the conversation going on in your head, and it's a physical manifestation of the words that are falling across your lips. And if you want to create a better life, design a better conversation. If you want to design a better conversation, think a better thought, not about them, but first about you. And if you can feel it right now, something stirring in your soul, just that little something, you can't even describe it, then you're still in the game. It ain't over yet. It's never too late. At 20, at 40, at 55, at 75, at 88, it ain't ever too late to press reset and fall madly in love with the life that you've been given. And then you'll look up and your life is barely. Then you look up and your life is barely recognizable. I'm a girl from South Central LA, living between the Harlem Crip 30s and the Rolling 60s. Had 3 fights a week to get home from school. Got kicked out of college. I was considered academically challenged. I'm functionally dyslexic still. I wear everything as a badge. I'm fine with it. I'm not successful in spite of it. My success is beautiful because of it. I'm that woman who was on government assistance. Okay. I'm that woman who got out of an abusive relationship. Okay. But I'm also that woman who's authored or co-authored 7 bestsellers. I'm also that woman who's a CEO of a multi-million-dollar business. I'm also the woman who has an international brand and touches over 30 million people a year. I'm also that woman. Don't wear the labels, and don't let the labels wear you. You're bigger than a label. I'm a woman before I'm a mother. I'm a woman before I'm a CEO. I'm a woman before I'm a daughter. I'm a woman first, all things. I'm not a hero. I want to be a she-ro. I want to give her a chance. And I say to you as your sister, you don't think you get to press reset, you better think again. It is not over. Matter of fact, it just begun.
Spoon in my mouth, I know. I was born in Fallsby, West Virginia. And I went by where I was born last night, about 10:30. I was born in a cellar at home, delivered by Dr. McGraw. We had 1 bedroom for my sister, myself, and my parents. We had a half bath and a kitchen. 7.5 years we lived in that place. There was no welfare. There was no food stamps. There was no safety net. But I always had plenty to eat. Because every time I asked for seconds, my dad would say, no, you had plenty. But the reason I was born with a silver spoon, my dad had only gone to the 3rd grade. That's all the education he had. But why was I born with a silver spoon in my mouth? Because I was taught by my parents that life's a matter of making choices, wherever you are, good or bad, because of choices you make. Don't blame anybody else, but if you get an education, you're willing to work and overcome problems and difficulties, in this great country, you can amount to something. That's why I was born with a silver spoon. I was in this country and I was taught personal responsibility for choices you make. And when we talk about a commitment to excellence, that's a choice you make. What do you want to do? Having hopes and dreams and ambition. See, I think that is absolutely critical. Don't make the mistake I made. I've done a lot of dumb things, but let me tell you the one thing I regret. We went to the University of Notre Dame. We took a program on the bottom. We took it to the very top. And for 9 straight years, we went to a January 1 bowl, the sugar, the cotton, the orange, or the fiesta. Nobody's done it before. Nobody's done it since. We put it on top and we maintained it. That's the thing I regret the most. See, there's a rule in life that said you're either growing or you're dying. The tree's either growing or it's dying. So's grass, so's a marriage, so's a business, so's a person. Doesn't have a thing to do with age. My birthday candles cost more than a cake. But it has everything to do. Am I trying to get better? Am I trying to prove we got on top and say, you know, this is pretty good. Let's maintain it. Let's not take any risk. We finished second.
Talk radio.
I listen to a lot of talk radio.
95.1 FM.
This is Today 95.1 FM. To copy this tune, press 9.
This is Today 95.1 FM.
For current news and information, press 5.
They are politicians, all of them. They know what they do.
So they know how they attack each other.
To stay connected all day, press 1.
The person who raised the alarm is the one who made the public know about
Well, good afternoon and welcome to the world news on your premium talk radio station.
We are your premium talk radio station. Today 95.1 FM, the station with a unique dial.
Commitment, love.
I was flunking out of college. I had a 1.7 grade point average. I hope none of you can relate. I had a 1.7 grade point average. I was sitting in my mother's beauty shop. They still call it beauty shops now? What they call it now? Yeah, I'll sit in the beauty parlor. I was sitting in my mother's beauty parlor, and I'm looking in the mirror, and I see behind me this woman under the dryer. And every time she looked up, every time I looked up, she was looking at me, just looking me in the eye. And I didn't know who she was, and I said, you know, she said, somebody give me a pen, give me a pencil, I have a prophecy. March 27, 1975, she said, boy, you are gonna travel the world and speak to millions of people. Now mind you, I was flunked out of college. I'm thinking about joining the army. I didn't know what I was gonna do, and she's telling me I'm gonna travel the world and speak to millions of people. Well, I have traveled the world, and I have spoke to millions of people. But that's not the most important thing, the success that I had. The most important thing is that what she taught me and what she told me that day has stayed with me since. I've been protected, I've been directed, I've been corrected. Fail big. That's right. Fail big. You only live once. So do what you feel passionate about. Take chances professionally. Don't be afraid to fail. There's an old IQ test, was 9 dots, and you had to draw 5 lines with a pencil within these 9 dots without lifting the pencil. The only way to do it was to go outside the box. So don't be afraid to go outside the box. Don't be afraid to think outside the box. Don't be afraid to fail big, to dream big. But remember, dreams without goals are just dreams, and they ultimately fuel disappointment. So have dreams, but have goals. Life goals, yearly goals, monthly goals, daily goals. I try to give myself a goal every day. And understand that to achieve these goals, you must apply discipline and consistency. You have to work at it every day. You have to plan every day. You've heard the saying, we don't plan to fail, we fail to plan. Hard work works. Working really hard is what successful people do. And in this text, tweet, twerk world that you've grown up in, remember, just because you're doing a lot more doesn't mean you're getting a lot more done. Remember that. Just because you're doing a lot more doesn't mean you're getting a lot more done. Don't confuse movement with progress. My mother told me, she said, yeah, because you can run in place all the time and never get anywhere. So continue to strive, continue to have goals, continue to progress. And anything you want good, you can have. So claim it. Work hard to get it. When you get it, reach back. Pull someone else up. Each one, teach one. Don't just aspire to make a living. Aspire to make a difference.
I was 18 years old when I got married. I belonged to a very conservative family, a Baloch family, where good daughters never say no to their parents. My father wanted me to get married, and all I said was, if that makes you happy, I'll say yes. And of course, it was never a happy marriage. Just about after 2 years of getting married, about 9 years ago, I met a car accident. Somehow my husband fell asleep and the car fell in the ditch. He managed to jump out, saved himself. I'm happy for him. But I stayed inside the car and I sustained a lot of injuries. The list is a bit long. Radius ulna of my right arm were fractured. The wrist was fractured. Shoulder bone and collarbone were fractured. My whole rib cage got fractured. But that injury that changed me and my life completely was the spine injury. Many people came to rescue. They gave me CPR. They dragged me out of the car. And while they were dragging me out, I got the complete transection of my spinal cord. Those 2.5 months in the hospital were dreadful. I was at the verge of despair. One day, doctor came to me and he said, well, I heard that you wanted to be an artist, but you ended up being a housewife. I have a bad news for you. You won't be able to paint again. Next day, doctor came to me and said, your spine injury is so bad, you won't be able to walk again. I took a deep breath and I said, it's all right. Next day, doctor came to me and said, because of your spine injury and the fixation that you have in your back, you won't be able to give birth to a child again. That day, I was devastated. I started to question my existence. Why am I even alive? So what kept me going was, one day I asked my brothers, I know I have a deformed hand, but I'm tired of looking at these white walls in the hospital and wearing these white scrubs. Bring me some colors, bring me some small canvas. I want to paint. So the very first painting I made was on my deathbed, where I painted for the very first time. What an amazing therapy it was. Without uttering a single word, I could paint my heart out. I could share my story. People used to come and say, what lovely painting, so much color. Nobody could see the grief in it. Only I could. And that day I decided that I'm going to live life for myself. I am not going to be that perfect person for someone. I am just going to take this moment and I will make it perfect for myself. That I'm going to fight my fears. So I wrote down one by one all those fears. And I decided that I'm going to overcome these fears one at a time. You know what was my biggest fear? Divorce. But the day I decided that this is nothing but my fear, I liberated myself by setting him free. And I made myself emotionally so strong that the day I got the news that he's getting married, I sent him a text that I'm so happy for you and I wish you all the best. And he knows that I pray for him today. Number 2 was, I won't be able to be a mother again. And that was quite devastating for me. But then I realized there are so many children in the world, all they want is acceptance. So there is no point of crying, just go and adopt one. And that's what I did. I gave my name in different organizations, different orphanages, and I waited patiently. 2 years later, I got this call from a very small city in Pakistan. I got a call and they said, "Are you Muniba Mazari?"
Talk radio. I listen to a lot of talk radio.
95.1 FM.
Talk radio. I listen to a lot of talk radio.
95.1 FM.
There is a baby boy, and would you like to adopt? I could literally feel the labor pain. I said, yes, I am going to adopt him. I am coming to take him home. And that day, I was 2 days old, and today he's 6. You know, when you end up being on the wheelchair, what's the most painful thing? People think that they will not be accepted by the people because we, in the world of perfect people, are imperfects. So I decided to appear more in public. I started to paint. I have done a lot of modeling campaigns. I decided that I'm going to join the national TV of Pakistan as an anchor person. I became the National Goodwill Ambassador for UN Women Pakistan, and now I speak for the rights of women, children. I was featured in BBC 100 Women for 2015. I'm one of the Forbes 30 under 30 for 2016. So when you accept yourself the way you are, the world recognizes you. It all starts from within. We have this amazing fantasy about life. This is how things should work. This is my plan. It should go as per my plan. If that doesn't happen, we give up. I never wanted to be on the wheelchair. Never thought of being on the wheelchair. This life is a test and a trial, and tests are never supposed to be easy. So when you are expecting ease from life, and life gives you lemons, then you make the lemonade, and then do not blame life for that. It is okay to be scared. It is okay to cry. Everything is okay, but giving up should not be an option. They always say that failure is not an option. Failure should be an option, because when you fail, you get up, and then you fail, and then you get up, and that keeps you going. Embrace each and every breath that you are taking. Celebrate your life. Live it. Don't die before your death. Real happiness lies in gratitude. So be grateful, be alive, and live every moment.
If you want to change the world, start off by making your bed. If you make your bed every morning, you will have accomplished the first task of the day. It will give you a small sense of pride, and it will encourage you to do another task, and another, and another. And by the end of the day, that one task completed will have turned into many tasks completed. Making your bed will also reinforce the fact that the little things in life matter. If you can't do the little things right, you'll never be able to do the big things right. And if by chance you have a miserable day, you will come home to a bed that is made, that you made. And a made bed gives you encouragement that tomorrow will be better. To pass SEAL training, there are a series of long swims that must be completed. One is the night swim. Before the swim, the instructors joyfully brief the students on all the species of sharks that inhabit the waters off San Clemente. They assure you, however, that no student has ever been eaten by a shark, at least not that they can remember. But you are also taught that if a shark begins to circle your position, stand your ground. Do not swim away. Do not act afraid. And if the shark, hungry for a midnight snack, darts towards you, then summons up all your strength and punch him in the snout, and he will turn and swim away. There are a lot of sharks in the world. If you hope to complete the swim, you will have to deal with them. So if you want to change the world, don't back down from the sharks. Over a few weeks of difficult training, my SEAL class, which started with 150 men, was down to just 42. There were now 6 boat crews of 7 men each. I was in the boat with the tall guys, but the best boat crew we had was made up of the little guys, the Munchkin crew, we called them. No one was over 5'5". The Munchkin boat crew had 1 American Indian, 1 African American, 1 Polish American, 1 Greek American, 1 Italian American, and 2 tough kids from the Midwest. They out-paddled, outran, and outswam all the other boat crews. The big men in the other boat crews would always make good-natured fun of the tiny little flippers the Munchkins put on their tiny little feet prior to every swim. But somehow these little guys from every corner of the nation and the world always had the last laugh, swimming faster than everyone and reaching the shore long before the rest of us. SEAL training was a great equalizer. Nothing mattered but your will to succeed, not your color, not your ethnic background, not your education, not your social status. If you want to change the world, measure a person by the size of their heart, not by the size of their flippers. The 9th week of training is referred to as Hell Week. It is 6 days of no sleep, constant physical and mental harassment, and 1 special day at the Mud Flats. The Mud Flats are an area between San Diego and Tijuana where the water runs off and creates the Tijuana Sloughs, a swampy patch of terrain where the mud will engulf you. It is on Wednesday of Hell Week that you paddle down to the Mud Flats and spend the next 15 hours trying to survive the freezing cold, the howling wind, and the incessant pressure to quit from the instructors. As the sun began to set that Wednesday evening, my training class, having committed some egregious infraction to the rules, was ordered into the mud. The mud consumed each man till there was nothing visible but our heads. The instructors told us we could leave the mud if only 5 men would quit. Only 5 men, just 5 men, and we could get out of the oppressive cold. Looking around the mud flat, it was apparent that some students were about to give up. It was still over 8 hours till the sun came up. 8 more hours of bone-chilling cold. The chattering teeth and the shivering moans of the trainees were so loud, it was hard to hear anything. And then one voice began to echo through the night. One voice raised in song. The song was terribly out of tune, but sung with great enthusiasm. One voice became 2, and 2 became 3, and before long, everyone in the class was singing. The instructors threatened us with more time in the mud if we kept up the singing, but the singing persisted, and somehow the mud seemed a little warmer, and the wind a little tamer, and the dawn not so far away. If I have learned anything in my time traveling the world, it is the power of hope. The power of one person, a Washington, a Lincoln, King, Mandela, and even a young girl from Pakistan, Malala. One person can change the world by giving people hope. So if you want to change the world, start each day with a task completed. Find someone to help you through life. Respect everyone. Know that life is not fair and that you will fail often. But if you take some risks, step up when the times are the toughest, face down the bullies, lift up the downtrodden, and never, ever give up. If you do these things, the next generation and the generations that follow will live in a world far better than the one we have today. And what started here will indeed have changed the world for the better.
Talk radio. I listen to a lot of talk radio.
95.1 FM.
The wisest person I ever met in my life, a third grade dropout. Wisest and dropout in the same sentence is rather oxymoronic, like jumbo shrimp. Like fun run, ain't nothing fun about it. Like Microsoft Works, y'all don't hear me. I used to say like country music, but I've lived in Texas so long, I love country music now. I hunt, I fish, I have cowboy boots and cowboy, y'all, I'm a blackneck redneck. Do you hear what I'm saying to you? No longer oxymoronic for me to say country music. And it's not oxymoronic for me to say third grade and dropout. That third grade dropout, the wisest person I ever met in my life, who taught me to combine knowledge and wisdom to make an impact, was my father. A simple cook. Wisest man I ever met in my life. Just a simple cook. Left school in the third grade to help out on the family farm, but just because he left school doesn't mean his education stopped. Mark Twain once said, "I've never allowed my schooling to get in the way of my education." My father taught himself how to read, taught himself how to write, decided in the midst of Jim Crowism, as America was breathing the last gasp of the Civil War, my father decided he was going to stand and be a man. Not a black man, not a brown man, not a white man, but a man. He literally challenged himself to be the best that he could all the days of his life. I have 4 degrees. My brother is a judge. We're not the smartest ones in our family. It's a third grade dropout daddy. A third grade dropout daddy who was quoting Michelangelo, saying to us, "Boys, I won't have a problem if you aim high and miss, but I'm gonna have a real issue if you aim low and hit." A country mother quoting Henry Ford, saying, "If you think you can or if you think you can't, you're right." I learned that from a third grade drop. Simple lessons. Lessons like these. Son, you'd rather be an hour early than a minute late. We never knew what time it was at my house because the clocks were always ahead. My mother said for nearly 30 years, my father left the house at 3:45 in the morning. One day she asked him, "Why, Daddy?" He said, "Maybe one of my boys will catch me in the act of excellence. I want to share 2 things with you." Aristotle said, "You are what you repeatedly do." Therefore, excellence ought to be a habit, not an act. Don't ever forget that. I know you're tough, but always remember to be kind. Always. Don't ever forget that. Never embarrass mama. Yeah. If mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. If daddy ain't happy, don't nobody care. But you know, I'm trying to tell you. Next lesson. Lesson from a cook over there in the galley. Son, make sure your servant's towel is bigger than your ego. Ego is the anesthesia that deadens the pain of stupidity. Y'all might have a relative in mind you want to send that to. Let me say it again. Ego is the anesthesia that deadens the pain of stupidity. Pride is the burden of a foolish person. John Wooden coached basketball at UCLA for a living, but his calling was to impact people. And with all those national championships, guess what he was found doing in the middle of the week? Going into the cupboard, grabbing a broom, and sweeping his own gym floor. You want to make an impact? Find your broom. Every day of your life, you find your broom. You grow your influence that way. That way you're attracting people so that you can impact them. Final lesson. Son, if you're gonna do a job, do it right. I've always been told how average I can be. Always been criticized about being average. But I want to tell you something. I stand here before you, before all of these people, not listening to those words, but telling myself every single day to shoot for the stars, to be the best that I can be. Good enough isn't good enough if it can be better, and better isn't good enough if it can be best. Let me close with a very personal story that I think will bring all this into focus. Wisdom will come to you in the unlikeliest of sources, a lot of times through failure. When you hit rock bottom, remember this. while you're struggling, rock bottom can also be a great foundation on which to build and on which to grow. I'm not worried that you'll be successful. I'm worried that you won't fail from time to time. The person that gets up off the canvas and keeps growing, that's the person that will continue to grow their influence. Back in the 70s, to help me make this point, let me introduce you to someone. I met the finest woman I'd ever met in my life. Back in my day, we'd have called her a brick house. This woman was the finest woman I'd ever seen in my life. There's just one little problem. Back then, ladies didn't like big old linemen. The Blind Side hadn't come out yet. They like quarterbacks and running backs. We're at this dance, and I find out her name is Trina Williams from Lompoc, California. And we're all dancing, and we're just excited. And I decide in the middle of dancing with her that I would ask her for her phone number. Trina was the first one. Trina was the only woman in college who gave me her real telephone number. The next day, we walked to Baskin & Robbins ice cream parlor. My friends couldn't believe it. This has been 40 years ago, and my friends still can't believe it. We go on a second date, and a third date, and a fourth date. We drive from Chico to Vallejo so that she could meet my parents. My father meets her, my daddy. My hero, he meets her, pulls me to the side and says, "Is she psycho?" But anyway, we go together for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. By now, Trina's a senior in college. I'm still a freshman, but I'm working some things out. I'm so glad I graduated in 4 terms. Nixon, Ford, Carter, Reagan. So now it's time to propose. So I talk to her girlfriends, and it's California, it's in the 70s, so it has to be outside. You have to have a candle, and you have to have, some chocolate. And listen, I'm from the hood. I had a bottle of Boone's Farm wine. That's what I had. She said yes. That was the key. I married the most beautiful woman I'd ever seen in my life. Y'all ever been to a wedding, and even before the wedding starts, you hear this? How in the world? And it was coming from my side of the family. We get married, we have a few children, our lives are great. One day, Trina finds a lump in her left breast. Breast cancer. 6 years after that diagnosis, me and my 2 little boys walked up to Mommy's casket. And for 2 years, my heart didn't beat. If it wasn't for my faith in God, I wouldn't be standing here today. If it wasn't for those 2 little boys, there would have been no reason for which to go on. I was completely lost. That was rock bottom. You know what sustained me? The wisdom of a 3rd grade dropout. The wisdom of a simple cook. We're at the casket. I'd never seen my dad cry. But this time I saw my dad cry. That was his daughter. Trina was his daughter, not his daughter-in-law. And I'm right behind my father, about to see her for the last time on this earth. And my father shared 3 words with me that changed my life right there at the casket. It would be the last lesson he would ever teach me. He said, "Son, just stand. You keep standing. You keep standing, no matter how rough the sea, you keep standing." And I'm not talking about just water. You keep standing. No matter what, you don't give up. And as clearly as I'm talking to you today, these were some of her last words to me. She looked me in the eye and she said, "It doesn't matter to me any longer how long I live. What matters to me most is how I live." I ask y'all one question, a question that I was asked all my life by a 3rd grade dropout. How you living? How you living? Every day, ask yourself that question, how you living? Here's what a cook would suggest you to live this way. That you would not judge, that you would show up early, that you'd be kind, that you'd make sure that that servant's towel is huge and used, that if you're gonna do something, you do it the right way. That cook would tell you this, that it's never wrong to do the right thing, that how you do anything is how you do everything. And in that way, you will grow your influence to make an impact. In that way, you will honor all those who have gone before you, who have invested in you. Look in those unlikeliest places for wisdom. Enhance your life every day by seeking that wisdom and asking yourself every night, how am I living? May God richly bless y'all. Thank you for having me.
Talk radio. I listen to a lot of talk radio.
95.1 FM.
Port Harcourt, Bud X Bars is here. 15 bars, 5 weeks with the kings of the turntables. DJ Consequence, DJ Nana, DJ E Cool, and DJ Crowd Controller. Experience epic parties every weekend from the 3rd of May. Follow at Budweiser Nigeria for updates. Be a king.
All right, good morning to you. It is still the Saturday morning show. Apologies for the fact that we couldn't bring you open edition, but I hope you did get motivated. I hope you did get some inspiration to go about the weekend and to go get yourself ready for the new weekend, for the remainder of the year. You know, I know things can be rough and tough and hard and difficult, but then again, from all the speakers that we listened to, from about 10 of them, all of them had one message, and that the strength to go on resides inside of you. The strength to tackle all the difficulties and bring about solution lies inside of you. And one thing that did stick with me is, you know, do not work or do not leave to make a living. You know, do not work hard to make a living, but instead work hard to make a difference. Because when you're making a difference in the world, you are also making the world, you know, a good place for you to live in, a comfortable place for you to live in. I'm Kalada, and welcome once again. Welcome to another bout of discussions. And it's time for us to talk. And we will be talking in the line of motivation and inspiration, because it appears that many people, especially young people, seem to be dying too soon. You know what they say in the funeral announcement, gone too soon. They seem to be dying too soon in this generation, largely not due to sickness, not due to violence, not due to any of that. Although those things are part of it, but not largely due to those things, but largely due to suicide. There has been a recent debate on various media platforms, on news pages, on blogs, and on different platforms. I mean, there's been that debate about why we have an increase in the rate of suicide amongst our youths. I mean, 3 weeks ago, sometime in April, we had a Uniport Year 1 student commit suicide. Whatever the reasons were, we couldn't really ascertain, because there were the rumors that it was because of a bad relationship. Others said it was because she was depressed from, health conditions and all of that stuff. But that was there. Now, following that one, about 2 weeks later, we had a report on newspapers that where is it again? All right, we had reports on newspaper that a JAM candidate who sat for the recently released results, of JAM, who sat for that edition of JAM, attempted to, not attempted, I think he drank sniper. He tried to commit suicide, but somehow people rallied around him. Nigerians rallied around him and were able, to save his life, and were able to leave him in a stable condition in the hospital. While we were trying to grapple with that one, we also had another story of a what do you call this now? We had another story of a 400-level University of Nigeria student who committed suicide. Apparently, what did he use? I think I don't remember the method of suicide, but I know that the boy committed suicide. And according to the Guardian of 14 May 2019, the boy was actually on his way to bag a first class. How sad. How sad. Now, this is a pointer to the fact that suicide seems to be robbing us of our future. Because whether you like it or not, first class, UNN probably would have come up with some greater ideas in the future that would have that would have brought about a revolution. That would have brought about a revolution in Nigeria. It would have brought about a paradigm shift. I mean, it would have been an excellent contribution in the future, but he has given up to suicide. But he was not the only one. While we were still debating on the 400 level University of Nigeria Institute students, another person committed suicide. Although now, and it's crazy, by the way. It's crazy, by the way. There's the debate on whether he was a member of the Redeemed Church, the Redeemed Christian Church of God, or he was not. But that's not the point, anyways. That's not where I'm driving to. Where I'm driving to is the fact that it is crazy that he did commit suicide. I mean, he did commit suicide. Challenges, all of the challenges in life, and he couldn't go through it anymore, and he took his life. Apparently, a majority of these. That's not just it, And if you look at the guidance, it goes on to say that a chartered accountant was rescued while attempting to commit suicide. He jumped into the Lagos lagoon. I tried to reach out to some doctors, psychiatric doctors, and I was trying to understand why we have an increase in suicidal attempts in Nigeria, but apparently, unfortunately, majority of them or all of them happened to be busy with work and the like. But then again, we want to be looking at this thing. So many people have called for the ban of things like sniper, which is of course is the common mode of committing suicide these days. So many people have called for the ban of all of these things that people use, all of these dangerous substances that people use to commit suicide. But then again, I'm of the opinion that might just be a reactionary way of solving the issue. What really is the problem? I mean, I wake up just like you wake up. I mean, I wake up to the challenges of the day. I know sometimes it can be saddening, you're going out there, you put in all the work, you put in all the energy, and little or no result sometimes is the case. I mean, you get little or no reward for the value that you put into society. I mean, you're there putting in the time, and someone else just comes with some corrupt tendencies and gets, a better reward, a larger reward than you do. For example, look at our graduates from the university. They're done with school. Even if we would, have another argument about whether the content that they were given in school was good enough, but they are done with school, and then someone else comes from some bush, some forest, with an AK-47, and he gets an amnesty, and he gets to, get a whole lot of money paid to his account on a monthly basis. That being said, you look at the people who have served their country for about 35 years or more, and when it comes to paying them pension, it looks as if that's going to be a tough task. Government looks as if it's too big a thing to do. It looks as if that they're doing the pensioner as a favor. But then again, someone else just comes, and through bribery, corruption, and the likes, the person gets, to be praised in society. The person gets, very huge amounts of money and builds houses and buys cars, and probably that is the way, or that is the problem that has resulted in the high rate of suicides in Nigeria. Is it social media? All the flashy things going on there where girls who, you and I know, you, me, know that they are from a poor background, go on social media and, snap for the gram, and they'll be like, living the best life. And some other person be like, seeing you, Nkechi don't be big girl. And you probably don't even know. And then you begin to wonder why God has not blessed you. You have been praying, you've been fasting, and yet God seems to not be answering your prayer. Is there even a God? Is there even a God? Is God even what he says he is? You begin to doubt your faith. You begin to doubt yourself if you're good enough. Why did God even create you in the first place? Are you good enough? You begin to doubt your existence. Is it social media? Is social media the cause? Should we then, like some people have called for the ban on Sniper, should we then ban social media? What is the problem? Is it parental neglect? Because I've seen people who trained their children so well, and yet their children still fell into depression. Do we even have enough centers? Do we even have centers in the first place? Do we have centers where people who are suffering from clinical depression can go and seek advice? I mean, there's so much to look into this. I mean, from so much angles to look at this from. I meant to say, there's so much angles to look at. Not just calling for the ban. I mean, the ban is reactionary. We should look at some of the factors that are causing this mayhem. And like I said earlier, I really, really do wish I could have gotten, some psychiatric doctor in the studio, some psychiatrist, but I could not. And it's left for you and I to discuss about this morning. And I want us to look at the root issue, because if we are not able to look at the root issue, whatever solution that we prefer might just be on the surface. I really would love you to talk about this, because you may not know. You may not know until it happens to someone close to you. You may not know. You may not know how vital this conversation is until someone dear to you takes their life. I mean, a chartered accountant, a first-class UNN student, all on the same week, by the way. Chartered accountant on the 14th of May. Sorry, UNN final year student on the 14th of May, chartered accountant on the 15th of May, RCCG minister, which of course the RCCG has come to deny, commits suicide on the 15th of May. Of course, like I said, about 2-3 weeks ago, the Uniport students, and I believe there's so many others that we do not know about. Is it Sniper that is the cause of it? Is Sniper now becoming so very delicious that everybody wants to get a taste of it? I really don't know, but what do you think? What do you think is the reason? Nigerians used to be very happy people. We used to be very, 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 very happy people. And even in the times of challenging moments, or in times of challenges, in times of troubles, Nigerians have been said to be very resilient people. So what is happening to our resilience? What is happening to, oh my God, it feels really sad, because if I remember, 3-4 weeks ago, I was on air on the 9 show. I could remember that day very well. It was a Thursday. I almost cried on the show when I got the information. I was on social media trying to look out something for the Lovey Dovey show, yeah. And I was trying to look out something, and I saw that very pretty girl. The kind of girl that, who knows, if I had known her, I would have shared it with all my heart. Maybe I would have fallen in love with her, and hopefully, maybe in due time we could have gotten married. And maybe some other guy's dream, Maybe some other guy's dream. Very pretty lady. And of course, the UNN guy, very brilliant boy. Very brilliant boy. What about the Jam boy? That was last weekend, yeah, where he attempted to commit suicide. Oh my! I know someone too who did commit suicide. He drank Sniper the first time. Family members rushed to him. They took him to the hospital, saved his life, and then one day he just targeted. He acted like everything was okay. He acted like it was fine. Then one day, everybody went for some wedding function, and he was like, he was not interested in going. It was just, he wanted to take it, he wanted to relax. He was tired and all of that. And that day he took his life. So yeah, I've had someone close to me do that. What do you think is the root cause? I mean, we need to talk about this. But before I open the phone lines, I will go for a short break. When I return, the phone lines will be open and conversations will continue. I am Kalada, and this is the Saturday morning show on Today 95.1 FM. Stay tuned.
Bud X Bars is here. 15 bars, 5 weeks with the kings of the turntables. DJ Consequence, DJ Nana, DJ E Cool, and DJ Crowd Controller. Experience epic parties every weekend from the 3rd of May. Follow at Budweiser Nigeria for updates. Be a king.
All right, the numbers to call in are 0817 0951 and 0810 9510951. Your text messages and WhatsApp messages to the number 0701 9339962. Should we call for the total ban of chemicals like sniper? Because even the government has come out to say, they've come out to give reasons why they cannot ban. Why they cannot ban sniper? NAVDAC actually talking. NAVDAC says despite growing conversion over the use of sniper for suicide, it lacks the power to ban the product from the market. In an exclusive interview, the Director of Special Duties, NAVDAC, Abubakar Jimo, while regretting that the purpose of sniper is not what it is being used for now, said that the abuse is not within the ambit of NAVDAC. It is just like when people use acid for attack. The purpose of acid is not to attack people. Some years ago, NAVDAC was also called to the rescue when people started attacking others with acid. Now, asking us to regulate when people have criminal tendencies or intention is not within the remit of NAVDAC's regulatory activities. All right, so call in now. Let's have your thought on these. 0817 0000951 and 0810 951 951. 95.1.
Hello, Promo.
Good morning to you.
It's DK again.
DK, welcome, yeah.
Yes, you see, banning of those substances is like fighting the symptom, leaving the cause.
All right.
Anybody who wants to commit suicide will always find a way to do so.
All right.
There is so much hardship in this country.
All right.
The gap between the rich and the poor, that is one.
All right.
And there is also a foreign taste, Western taste that is seeping into our culture. So when young people find a gap between their expectations and where they are, they are likely to do some of these things.
All right.
You see, if you check world statistics, suicide among Muslim population is lesser because their region seems to give them some sense of contentment as compared to other regions. If you check worldwide, check the Arab countries and other Islamic countries. So you see, we also need to cultivate a spirit of contentment so that in the midst of so much lack, one can have hope.
All right.
So let us tackle the stuff, not the symptoms. If you ban snipers, will you ban knives? Will you ban rope and other things people use for committing suicide? So young people need orientation.
No.
Our value system needs to be re-examined. Let people know what is really important. That's my take on it. Thank you.
Before I let you go, you talked about.
I'm here with you, yes.
Before I let you go, you talked about hardship. You talked about what else did you talk about? You know, when you talk about hardship and the gap between the rich and the poor, you and I faced the same challenge, but we're still standing here. We've not drank the so-called sniper. We've not done anything to harm ourselves. So, what is the difference? What do you think, in your own opinion, is what are we doing right that these other people have not done?
I didn't get you very well. What have we not done right?
I said, what have we done right that these people who have committed suicide did not do? I mean, we face the same challenges. We also face the gap between the rich and the poor.
Yes, that is what I am saying. That we need to look inward. re-examine our values.
You understand my question, DK? I'm saying you and I are still standing here. I mean, we've not committed suicide. We've not drank sniper. Irrespective of the fact that we are still facing the challenges, the same challenges that these people who have committed suicide.
I understand where you are coming from.
All right.
The question I should ask you is, I and you, we have the same value, the same worldview.
Interesting.
Those people who have done this,
interesting.
They might see things differently. You see, some young people these days, they are not contented with the situation they find themselves compared to before. They will watch social media, see where others are, and they will be longing to be there, yet they are not there. That gap between expectation and where you are is a big problem. That is why I said, you see, in the Islamic region, a lot of spirit of contentment is there. You see them moving around, doing some menial job, and they are happy. We here, are we like that?
All right. Yeah, thank you very much for calling in then. Thank you very much. Like I said, is it social media? Mr. Digay said contentment. He said, okay, hardship, the gap between the rich and the poor. But what is it really? Is that what it is for you? What is it? Tell me. Call in and tell me what you think about it. How do we even start solving the problem when we don't even know what the problem is? So we are going to find out the problem on the show this morning. And I really do implore you to, to call in and talk and let's get your opinion on it. 95.1. Hello?
Yes.
Hello, anybody home? Oh, I can't hear you. Can you speak up?
Can you hear me now?
Oh my. Go ahead. Let me see if I can hear you.
Okay. I say my name is Chris. Please, I'm calling from Port Harcourt.
Oh, Mr. Chris, welcome. Oh, there. Sorry. I knew the line wasn't really clear. You can dial back. You can call back. But then again, I mean, these young people, many of them are brilliant people. Brilliant. They could be entrepreneurs of tomorrow that will bring about the technology change and technology advancement that we so desire in Nigeria. But look at them taking their lives. 95.1.
Hello.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
All right, what's your name?
I'm Tony from Bayelsa.
Sorry?
I'm Tony from Bayelsa.
Anthony, all the way from Bayelsa, welcome.
I want to hear my voice on this issue of suicidal tendency. That is just like a new
trend. Yeah, a new trend in Nigeria, yeah.
Yes, Nigeria now. I want to say that just like every other business, it's just like a new thing now that have just come up now recently, that people don't know how to go about it. You know? But like the scholar just said now, there are factors that are behind this trend.
All right.
And these factors have been dealt with, just like we just been discussing about finding sniper. Sniper is just like kind of a way of just like you want to take somebody wants to take his life. And the reason that you want to take that person wants to take his life, and sniper is
the way out for him, yeah.
Out, yes. There's a reason behind that move. So one of them is just like this: people don't have what it takes now to handle the challenges.
So whose fault is it? Whose fault is it? People not having that ability to handle challenges or to bear challenges or troubles. Whose fault is it? Is it the parents? Is it the society? Is it the tertiary institutions? Is it the government? Whose fault is it?
It's also, to me, I believe that is the way that we grew up. It should be a kind of a background thing. Like many of us that grew up, without our parents, that now right from our childhood, we know how to fend for ourselves. We met a lot of challenges and we dealt with those challenges, and up till now nothing can stop us. Why? Because we know how to go about things, about life. You understand? There are some people that when they meet a kind of situation in life, they don't know how to handle it. So that kind of a thing now, it becomes just like the only thing is that why am I just living? Why is just like a sense of a feeling of hopelessness and helplessness, So, but for me, I just want to end like the pray with you, with spiritualize everything. Yeah, there are some certain things that cannot be spiritualized that are psychological. You understand?
Right.
So when you to a professional counselor, the person will be able to now assess you, now know where this problem is coming from, and give it that is going to be a kind of reorientation, so that people's this youth orientation, they make them are moving in a way that the kind of orientation, that the kind of mindset they have is wrong, and they cannot help them to tackle the challenges that they have currently in Nigeria. So they need a kind of help and reorientation to help them now overcome. Because with things that we are seeing in Nigeria now, it's going to be more than this. Even both the rich and the poor are facing it, because the head of even a doctor, all these people were packed their jeep, on the bridge, and the George Mainland Bridge, and they jumped inside the lab. But the water is not because they are poor. You understand? There is something that is happening that they don't have anybody to discuss with. If they have someone they can discuss this thing with, they can as well contact them, and they can say them just a simple thing. Then Nigeria wants to recognize this particular discipline of profession and purpose.
All right, thank you very much. I have to go to other callers now. Thank you very much for calling in. All right, then that's Anthony all the way from Bielsa. He says he is a psychologist, and he was saying that one of the problems is the inavailability of centers for counseling. I mean, churches can do only so much. All right, then back to the phone lines, 95.1.
Hello.
Yeah, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Sorry, what's your name? I can't hear you. Your name is? James, can you speak up, please? James, speak up.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you loud and clear.
My brother, just like day first day, I was discussing with a friend. I was telling him that the way people are taking to prayer these days is becoming too much. I want to look at it critically. I try to link it to the way people are murdering, killing people, outdoors. Both of them, I think that they have something in common. And my own angle, I'm coming from the Christian angle of it. Because some people just wake up one morning, we are having 100 persons that are facing the same problem. Now they get a kid herself in Philip there. Guy comes to the guy that also killed himself at Buri. Because he get done to one happening by Bayelsa.
Sorry, so it's the one happened in Buri?
Yeah, Buri, yeah.
When was that? I did not hear.
So my year student.
When was that?
That was last month.
Are you serious? Another one happened in Bielsa.
Yeah, Buri in Buri.
I know. Then the one that happened in Bielsa, where did this happen?
In Bayelsa, Braz.
Imagine. So that's in the space of that month, we had 3.
Yes, because of boyfriend girlfriend issue. Something that the devil is actually eating into our life.
Interesting.
Because, and that is why we need that. We need to pray. Even the people are killing people, someone can just wake up, enter into a club, start shooting my brother.
So you are saying the solution is prayers? Is that what you're saying?
My brother, there are something we cannot do because it's like the devil is eating into the society.
Interesting.
The human cannot just wake up and start killing people like that.
Interesting. So you don't think it's a matter of choice here? I mean, these people decide to wake up in the morning and they choose.
So they decided, but something will enter into them.
Interesting.
It's not something happen physically. There is something that happens visually before the physical.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for calling in.
They decided to put that in their heart. If they pray, they get the spirit to interpret those ugly spirits. Also stop the people doing something.
All right. Thank you very much for calling in then. Interesting conversation. Prayer. First person called in and said, we need to be content. I mean, we need to be contented with what we have, or we need to have the spirit of contentment. Another person called in and said, we need to have places to go to when we are depressed and sad. We need to be able to talk to counselors and all of that. And now the third person has called in and said prayer is the key. Interesting. 95.1.
Hello.
Good morning to you. Good morning.
Oh, good morning, Rana.
Yeah.
This is Kay.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you. Okay. The topic. But I know one of the things is, we know that it's difficult out here, and it can get push us to the wall. Well, I think one of the major things is self-motivation. Like, whenever anybody lacks motivation, I think that's what happens.
Yes, we know that's what results to suicide. But then again, how do we get to that point, first of all, where we lack that self-motivation? And then again, how do we what's the word now? How do we then motivate ourselves when we are lacking it? Don't you think that maybe we should have counselors, we should have the government, people should have a role to play?
Yes, in as much as we want to establish those parastatals or whatever that could help us in this to curb these things. Okay, what are the efforts are we making personally now that it's not available? Because we don't have access to this thing at this particular time, and we don't know when it will come. We're not sure of it yet. So, okay, what do we do now that is not available? That's what we're saying. You renew your mind. You have phones, you have things around. You can go around, download messages, download things that can just inspire you. And make you look. If you're looking down, there are a lot of things to inspire you. Go out there. See other people. If you complain you don't have a shirt, go out there. You see someone.
I have a question though. It just popped in my head. Do you think the media, the Nigerian media, do you think they do enough? Talking about motivating people. Do you think they do enough to motivate people out there?
I don't think they're doing enough.
Interesting.
I don't.
Interesting.
They're not doing enough because everybody's out there for their own.
I mean, the lovey-dovey show does not inspire people, I believe. All right. Thank you very much for calling in. All right, thank you very much for calling in. Okay, 95.1. Yeah, good evening to you. Good morning to you, rather. Good morning. Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, Mr. Chris, welcome.
Yeah, we are talking about suicide, people that are committing suicide and other to ban suicide for committing. And there is something, sometimes government, they need to treat the issue and start rubbing the wound. That is not the problem. Like, for example, since my mother born me, my father born me, I've never benefited anything from government. But I'm living. I don't focus on government. I don't even depend on government. For example, now, since how many hours now I'm in my office, figuring how to make life stay. I don't even care because of government. There is something you need to understand about this suicide. And another thing, government can frustrate somebody. Like the other day, I went to Tulare. I saw where these soldiers for people. Do you see how they are dragging one boy because of the business, the boy went to area and all these down celebs pick them to 200 naira. Coming here, it isn't even up to 2,000 naira market. They are dragging the boy to pay 6,000 naira. How can such a person? And the boy was there crying. What will I do? And my mom is sick. What will I do today? I will die. If you touch me with my clothes, I will die. That kind of a thing. And they eventually took that boy away with that. What do you think that will be the boy fate on that very day?
Interesting.
So government should know what to do. All those things that frustrate
human beings, yeah.
They should allow some people. Look at now what federal governments are trying to create. It's not good. We should know what to do. For example, I can be able to make 2,000 naira. But what of the next person?
Interesting.
Some people this morning, they have not even seen ordinary money to eat. But I was brought up in a family where, when I was in primary school, I used to go school with ordinary gari. I pour it in my pocket. So I enjoy it to this extent. I'm telling you, so this extent, there's nothing I'm not seeing. So there are some people from rich families, they are even interested in life. So in a day, they don't have 2,000 naira on their pocket. What do you think that they will do? They will think otherwise to commit suicide. That is the problem. So federal government should minimize some of the things that affect the poor masses. Let them leave them.
All right. Thank you very much for.
Pursue people where
Thank you very much for calling in. Thank you very much for calling in, Chris. Just stay tuned. I have to go pay some bills. When I return, the conversation continues. Don't go nowhere.
Port Harcourt, Bud X Bars is here. 15 bars, 5 weeks with the kings of the turntables. DJ Consequence, DJ Nana, DJ E Cool, and DJ Crowd Controller. Experience epic parties every weekend from the 3rd of May. Follow at Budweiser Nigeria for updates. Be a king.
All right, I just got a text message that really, I don't know how Nigerians find a way to, make it a PDP and APC affair, but someone just sent a text message to do that. Somebody's doing all of that, and apparently I'm not going to read the text message. And then 5.1.
Yes, hello there. How are you?
I'm fine, I'm great. Good morning to you.
My name is Mani Ubani.
Mani Ubani, welcome on the show.
Actually, we live in a cruel world.
All right.
A wicked world.
All right.
And the Bible said that if we are able to receive divine nature, we become, partakers of this divine nature and escape the corruption and wickedness that is the world. So, if anybody is looking at the society in which we live, can imagine that in a family, parents will have children up to 10. There's no limit to children you will have. And yet, government has no promise to you that those children will be employed. And because, there is that kind of planlessness, there is going to be chaos and anarchy. We look at a society where from one year to year, there is no new companies being opened. Yet people are graduating from school, millions every year.
Yeah, you're right.
So there are convulsions in the system, in the society, disorderliness, cruelty, and wickedness. Each person must now begin to, it's the survival of the fittest. You must adapt yourself to things that will keep you alive. Otherwise, the struggle and the kind of stiff competition in the system.
So you sorry. Let me get you, Ubani. You're saying that the competition in our society is the result why, especially the young people, are taking their lives.
Have you gone to where they want?
No. I want to know. I want to get you right. Is that what you're saying? That the competition is why people are taking their lives?
I'm giving you an answer. If you go to where there need 10 employees in a company and you see more than 2,000 persons, frustrations, those who are not taking will have frustrations. Is not correct?
Yeah, true.
Good. So,
but does that it happens in every society? Is that a good enough reason to take your life? I mean, before I got to Today FM exactly almost a year ago, I also was somewhere where I was doing the boy kind of thing. And don't get me wrong, I was frustrated, but I did not take my life. There were days when I doubted my...
Because if it don't depend on God and embrace God and His rules and commandments, then we will be frustrated.
All right. Thank you very much for calling that. 95.1. That's that cool. If you're just joining us, this is Today 95.1 FM. I am Kalada, and it is the Saturday morning show. And on the first round of it, what we're talking about is simple, very simple. Suicide. There's the increase, especially amongst the youths. I mean, last month, which was April, towards the tail end, we had the suicide done by a student of the Uniport. We had another, according to some caller, that happened in Buri Polytechnic, and that same caller told me one also happened in Bayelsa State, Brass to be precise. Now, we came into the month of May. On the 14th of May, we had what do you call this now? We had somebody take his life. I think it was the UNN student, the 400 level of the UNN University of Nigeria in Suka. And apparently, it will shock you. It will shock you that that boy was on his way to get a first class. And then after that one, we had the chartered accountant jump into the lagoon and was saved by some passers-by. We also learned some days later, I think it was last week, after JAM released their results, and that a boy who scored 167 or thereabout, drank sniper, on social media, just to voice his frustration. That one also was saved by some Nigerians who rallied around him. And we went on further to see another story of someone who's taking their life, an ROCCG minister, according to reports. Although some quarters have denied that he was not a member of the Redeemed Christian Church of God. But in the space of 3 to 4 days, we had 3 suicides. My point is, there are so much suicides going on in Nigeria that we do not know about. Why do we have an increase in it? Some people have said, oh, come out, ban sniper. But I'm saying sniper banning is reactionary. What really is the core problem? How do we solve it? Is it social media? Is it the dwindling power of parenting in our society? Is it the lack of government infrastructure and policies? What happened to our community lifestyle? There used to be the adage that said, a child is not raised by the parent alone, is raised by the community. What has happened to our communism? What has happened to our oneness? Yes, we are divided by tribes, but even now tribes are no longer looking out for each other. What has happened? Are these the problems? Is it because there are no counseling facilities? What really, in your own opinion? Because we all face similar challenges. I mean, poverty, hardship, we all face similar challenges. And I know for many of you who are listening right about now, we have been able to overcome some of those challenges. So what then is the issue? Oh my, 95.1.
Hello.
Hi. Good morning.
The issue, this is Lucky from Orupoku.
Lucky all the way. Welcome.
Yeah, the issue is not prayer. It's not about praying. It's about leadership.
Interesting.
You understand? When you have the righteous men leading, the people will always rejoice.
Interesting.
When you have a blood-sucking demon in power at Abuja.
No. You can't say that.
That is the problem.
All right, I lost you there. Sorry about that. You can use such words, really. Please, can we not do that? Can we be respective? 95.1 or respecting rather. 95.1.
Yeah. How about that?
Good morning to you.
Good morning. It's Andrew calling from Amagua.
Andrew, all the way. Welcome.
Thank you. I know I've been listening to the program since, and there are some questions you were asking. Like you asked a question, say, in this particular matter now, who do we blame? And that is where I want to actually look at.
All right.
Because we know there are so much challenges in the society, so much challenges in the style of government.
All right.
The environment we live, so much challenges. But if we, because of these challenges, begin to go or opt for suicide, I will not even blame government nor blame the society. I will blame the individual that is committing suicide.
Why would you blame the individual?
The reason why I would blame the individual is that just like some people have been talking about, inability to understand certain things. Is it that when you were growing up, you did not receive any single advice from your parents?
All right.
Nobody will ever say that he or she never received advice either from parents or even from primary school or from even persons in the society. There are certain advice we have gotten over the period. So I see it as inability to value or place value in life. There is a difference between life and your personal life. Your personal life is different from life in general. If the general life does not add any value or you don't see any value in it provided by the society or the government, part of your own personal life, you don't value your own personal life.
Interesting.
If you value your personal life, if you see life as something